Welcome to the Ham Radio Guide podcast, where we explore all things amateur radio, from gear and gadgets to on-the-air adventures and everything in between. This is episode number 70. Hello and good afternoon. My name is Marvin. My call sign is W0MET. I'm here to connect you with the latest tips, tricks, news, stories to take your ham radio experience to the next level. Whether you're a seasoned operator or a weekend porter warrior or just getting started, this is the place to be. Well, I have so much catching up to do. So the first part of this podcast is a full update channel and behind the scenes look at what's been happening the past couple of months. I really want to sincerely apologize for the long delay since the last episode. This wasn't how I expected the start of the year to go. Traveled back from Massachusetts to Wisconsin in early January, thinking I'd be gone maybe just 2 or 3 weeks, and that short trip turned into nearly 6 weeks. While I was there, I had several house projects I was trying to tackle. On top of that, I was scheduled to begin a new job, but the start date kept getting pushed back. So rather than travel back and forth, I stayed in Massachusetts waiting for some final confirmation. And I'm happy to share that by the time you're hearing this, I will have officially started the new position. So it's been a season of transition, but I'm very excited for what's ahead. We have a lot going on. Starting with that, Hamcation was a bit of a roller coaster for me this year, trying to figure out up until about a week or so before the event. I wasn't sure I was going to be able to attend. I was kind of on again, off again sort of thing. And once I confirmed the job start date was delayed again, I realized I had a window to be able to make it happen. And I'm really glad I did. I was able to connect with some great folks and record several videos, see several of the other YouTube channel members, and a few, and I was able to record some of those videos, and some of them are up on YouTube already. You can find them on there for some latest ones, and then I've got more on the way. So I've got more recorded than I can even make content. I record more content here at the shed last night, and just stay tuned. They are coming, I promise you. And as soon as Hamcation wrapped up, it was a day or two drive back to Wisconsin. It was a 2-day drive back to Wisconsin, not a day or two. It was 2 days. And after getting home, it took several days to kind of get settled in and start catching up with everything again. And one of the first priorities was like getting my truck unloaded and then getting it to the truck, to the shop the next day. Of course, I named the truck Shadow, being it's all black. And you guys have seen the videos on that under the, hopefully, the truck series. And I struck a deer back in early January with it. And so, of course, living in Wisconsin, it's almost inevitable. You don't hit a deer once in a while. But it was still drivable and definitely needed some attention. Unfortunately, once I dug into it, the damage turned out to be a little bit more extensive than originally expected. So it's going to take a little bit longer to get that fixed and returned. But I've got a decent truck to use in the meantime, which I'm very grateful for as well. They didn't put me some like little Kia Toyota Camry or something, So I was glad they were able to replace a truck with a truck. So it's been a very busy time, somewhat unpredictable stretch for me. And I didn't have any great recording equipment and sounding area to do. I definitely didn't have the Rodecaster with me to be able to do some of the audio and other stuff I like to be able to do during the podcast. So it was a little bit longer delayed to be able to get those recordings done. But thank you for your patience, your support, and sticking with me. There's a lot of more great content coming your way. Again, more podcasts. I've already got them lined up. I've got things scheduled out, which is really good. So stay tuned for more. Also, stay tuned for a couple more episodes about the ham radio budget for 2026. I had a poll on my Patreon page, and I'm going to extend it over to X, Twitter, for some additional feedback before releasing it. I'd like to have a few more responses on people. And since my Patreon had few responses, which is very sad, but I will admit it. So Patreon members, I'm calling you out a little bit. Please go out and check out that poll. And then, I've released a new podcast called Shack Smarts. This is part of the regular podcast channel you can find on on Apple Podcast. That's where majority, about 80% of my listeners come from, is Apple Podcast. And I've released it on there only for Apple Podcast subscribers. And it's called Shack Smarts, Behind the Mic. And so you can go find that under my regular channel, the Ham Radio Guy. And then you'll see behind the mic, Shack Smarts. Don't say that 3 times quickly. So Shack Smarts, Behind the Mic series. And that is for paid subscribers only. And I will post it on my Patreon channel for paid members as well. So they're 8 to 10 minutes short, little burst of information. And it doesn't contain any news or music or anything else. It's just good tips and wise information that I've learned over the years of being an amateur radio operator for nearly 30 years. So this is exclusive for either Apple podcast subscribers that want to subscribe to the channel for like $11.99 a year. It's pretty reasonable for those. And then Patreon members will actually, obviously, they're already making a fee there for being a Patreon, and it'll be an exclusive benefit for being a paid member. So hopefully you guys will enjoy that. Well, we have to get to some other business here. We've had enough on that for now. This episode is brought to you by ABR Industries, your source for high-quality coaxial cable assemblies and RF connections built right here in the USA. Whether you're setting up, portable, or upgrading the shack, ABR delivers precision-built cables you can trust. Check them out at abrindustries.com and upgrade your feed line today. Of course, you know ABR Industries is the only feed line here in the W0MET shack, and everything I use on my portable operations and even in my truck. So they do have my exclusive business, and I have really enjoyed their cable. It's been very durable. It's held up very well, and I've been using it for a number of years now, probably close to 5, and I have not had any problems with it. I literally had one problem with one of them with some orders for some connectors that had some SMA cables on it, and I'd done for another project for a group thing, and I was able to send them back, and they redid them with no cost, and it worked out great. So they certainly stand behind their work as well, and they are great over there. It was good seeing them also at Hamcation. Check out my link and save 10% in show notes by using code W0MET10. Well, hey there, fellow ham radio enthusiast. Are you loving the Ham Radio Guy and want to support the podcast while getting some awesome perks in return? Then it's time for you to join the Ham Radio Guy community on Patreon. With membership levels for every operator, you can start small or go all in. Here's what's waiting for you. At the tech level, you get early access to episodes, behind-the-scene updates, perfect for staying ahead of the curve. And at the general level, exclusive bonus content, member-only question and answers, and even shout-outs on the show. For extra level, class level, the ultimate tier, all that plus personalized one-on-one sneak peeks, upcoming projects, and some surprise goodies delivered to your door. So your support helps keep the podcast on the air, powers new content, and fuels the passion that drives our amazing ham radio community. And this makes me realize I need to send out an extra class level information to one of my new extra class member levels people as well. So I want to, let's see if I can pull it up real quick. I thought it was on, maybe it's on this page, over here on this page. I just had my Patreons up a few minutes ago. I was just looking at them, and I wanted to give it a shout out to one of the, maybe I don't have it up anymore. Well, maybe let's go pull it up quick. So you guys will all have to wait for a moment. That's if I can type right. There we go. And the, I always like giving shout outs to guys. I appreciate you guys for being members. And some of the newest memberships are Solav Bada and Levi Allen, extra level support there. And I think Kelly and Dustin I've mentioned on previous episodes, if not, and also George Yunt, Twisted Ninja, Michael Donyon. So if I haven't given you previous shout outs, there you go. So thank you guys for being either free or paid members for the audience there on my Patreon channel. So I do appreciate that by all means. So you can get a shout out as well and get some great information on joining the podcast here. So Well, with that, let's get into a little bit of news and let's see what's going on in the world. I've got some exciting stuff that's coming around the corner here just for this year in amateur radio as well. A new mode for amateur radio has been released. That's right, FT2, the fastest digital mode ever. With just 3.8 second cycles, complete a QSO in 11 seconds, and it's 4 times faster than FT8. It appears to be Windows, Linux, and Mac OS. Check it out today at FT2, the FT, the number 2.it. FT2.it. So FT it. F2T it. Yeah. So that's it. And then the other big thing is the explosive growth. POTA recently released some numbers of its growth and what's been happening over there on their side. They have some great numbers to tell us, and it's like, if you guys, anybody tells me absolutely the ham radio is dying, I'm going to call you a liar, and I'm going to tell you to prove it to me differently, because I don't think these numbers are made up. I'm sure they have the ways to back it, and they are just incredible numbers. So here we go. They now have 85,000 plus registered parks. 85,000 registered parks. I'm not going to get to those. I promise you. I won't get them all. 236 DX entities. They have almost as many registered operators worldwide as they do parks. 84,000 registered operators worldwide. So that's a lot, guys. That's a lot of you out there. That is about one. I was going to say 1/70th. No, I'm not. Again, don't do math on the air. That's always the policy, right? So 700,000 operators in the U.S. I don't know how many there are worldwide, but that's a lot of operators doing POTA events out there. Monthly activations in 2025 averaged 10,200 unique parks activated per month. So 30 days in a month, there's 10,000 parks being activated every month. That's crazy. Annual QSO growth. Now listen to this. This is where I'm telling you, amateur radio is alive and thriving. 2023, 10.6 million. Okay, good number. That's big stuff. 2024, 13 million QSOs. And now in 2025, 15.2 million QSOs were made. That's incredible, folks. That is incredible numbers, from 10 million in 2023 to over 15 million in 2025. That's a lot of contacts are being made on POTA. So, and then log submissions last year in 2025, 406,000 logs were submitted. So, since its inception, POTA has generated nearly 53 million QSOs. That's a database. Now, 53 million QSOs, not including roughly 500,000 early pre-2016 contacts. So, that is just incredible numbers. Momentum isn't slowing down. It's accelerating, and it is only going to get better. And it's getting better because there is POTA 2.0 coming. That's right. Some roadmap for some future highlights of POTA is going to be a live statistics dashboard. I think they're pulling this from World Radio League. I think they're going, oh my gosh, that's quite a log, quite a system that they've got going. Let's see how we can improve it. Faster log parsing and improved upload validation, 24-hour correction window before logs go live, award system enhancements, improved mapping tools, integrated documentation, and more. So this is, there's just more to come. It's just continue to grow, and it's go. So it's super exciting for POTA, super exciting for amateur radio. And this is just the beginning of 2026, folks. There's just been so much going on. The other thing I want to mention was the ham clock. Now, I'd say most of you probably know that it has Um, so it's made the topics, and you guys have seen it this year where it is going to be end of life in June of 2026. And Edward Downing, the creator of Ham Clock, deceased, and it's sad, and we're prayers and thoughts to the family for sure. But I have reached out to a couple people to confirm that they are continue to work on the Ham Clock, that it is going to continue to hopefully evolve and continue to move forward. There's things that they're doing on the back end. There are people working on it, and I've been reassured of this. I don't know that's 100%, commitment, but that was within about a week or so of this happening in the end of January, and we're now approaching the end of February. So that was 3 or 4 weeks ago. This is probably about a week after, so let's say 3 weeks ago, and we're hoping that this will continue to grow and continue to develop, and it won't come to an end of life. So we'll see what happens with that. And then as of February 13th, of course, the FCC released a 60 centimeter ban or 60 meter ban. And, we're waiting. Now we're just waiting for the different ICOM, Yaesu, et cetera, Kenwood and whatnot to be able to send out firmware updates for these radios to be able to account for that. So we'll see how that continues to press forward as well, and what their process is going to be for that. I've not heard anything from the vendors, and didn't really have a lot of wording from them in Hamcation either talking about it. So they said we're working on it. So that's kind of the very generic word I've got from that. So we'll see where that goes. That is all I've got for news, with a amateur for a release date of February 22nd, 2026. Today's episode is also brought to you by Alpha Antenna, your go-to source for high-performance portable and base antennas. Whether you're into POTA, SOTA, or just need a reliable setup for your home station or even a hotel room, Alpha Antenna has you covered with an innovative, top-quality product. They now have released a 3.5-pound mag loop antenna that is perfect for your hotel room, your desk, whatever it might be. It's a lightweight portable system that they have. They design antennas built to last and to perform in the real world. And I've been really impressed with their durability and ease of setup, making them perfect for both beginners and seasoned operators. I've got one of their older mag loops, and I kind of wish I had one of those 3.5-pound ones. It is really small and light. Go check them out today. And remember, Alpha Antennas can make you can make an offer with them, and they may be able to accept or reject that as well. And you can use the code W0MET as a discount code on their site as well. And again, that helps out the channel, and you can find some great antennas. The Hillbilly Ham has also been doing a antenna with them. You can find several of his videos out there, and he's had really good luck with them as well. So it's just not me showing off Alpha Antenna. Steve over there, it's a veteran-owned company, and vets also help build those antennas. So support the podcast, support Alpha Antennas, and go check out their full lineup over at alphaantennas.com. Don't forget to use my link again, W0MET, and upgrade your station with an Alpha Antenna today. You can find the links in the show notes and under my Patreon page under affiliates. If you have any questions or comments, reach out to me at W0MET@thehamradioguy.com. With that, let's move into the topic of the day. Well, we're diving into a increasing popular topic among amateur radio operators, and that is something that I see more and more people adding them all the time. More and more people are getting them. More and more of them are available, and that's right, solar power. Using them for emergency communications, whether you're setting up an off-grid ham station, preparing for emergency situations, or just exploring renewable energy for your radio setup, solar power offers a reliable and sustainable solution. So that is our topic of today. And I've got a solar panel on top of my trailer, which keeps a constant power to the trailer there for lights and other stuff. I have a 50-watt solar panel that I'm going to be mounting soon. I can find my brackets for them I bought on the outside of the shed for maintaining a battery backup for my OOPS power station, or Opus, OUPES, how you pronounce that. And I also have a 50 or 100-watt battery I'll be backing up for that with that as well. And then I've got a couple, like another solar panel from Bioenno and one from PowerFilm. And so we're going to see what that power, we're going to compare the two this spring as soon as it gets warm out. And I got two batteries I'm going to let drain I'm trying to let drain as well. I don't want to charge them up between now and then. So I'm going to let them drain and try and get them to equal levels of battery, and then see how long it takes for them to charge between the two different. They're both 60-watt panels, so I want to see how they compare in charging by two different solar companies and if it really makes a difference or not. So why would you want to go solar for ham radio? Well, ham radio operators worldwide are turning into solar panels for their stations. I think for some reasons it's a necessity. Those in remote areas where grid power isn't available, they have no choice but to rely on solar energy. And it's really, some of them, solar is just a way to supplement grid power, providing a backup in case of outages during field day operations. We certainly encourage that for like winter field day and summer field day. And the ability to operate independent of the grid is really a game changer for many. And it can come in especially handy for emergency communication scenarios where power loss may be common. And it can provide a lot of power to and supplement your power along the way. Now, some people have these big solar panels on their houses. Some may, have, like a small solar farm or something, a couple panels out in their yard. But, I know a lot of RVers will use these on top of their trailers or RVs that they have. And if you're just taking a small battery with you, and you don't know if you're gonna have enough power for operating something like a POTA or SOTA event or field day, some of these events have really driven a significant shift towards using solar power for radio setups. The one of the best advantages, I think, is of using solar power is they're typically lightweight foldable solar panels and lithium battery. So it's made it more easier than ever to deploy a station anywhere where you have power when you need it most. The typical problem with solar is, one is if you have shady days, but you're still getting some solar come through. And two is sometimes just setting it up is, trying to get the right angle, trying to get the panel in the right area. So as the sun progresses across the sky, it may start to hit some shade, and you have to keep moving your panel to be able to make it work. And so, that can be some of the issues you have when you're activating a remote site or participating in some type of emergency drill. But for the most part, solar panel ensures you can stay on the air, keeps your battery charged during the day when you're operating. And that way we have maybe plenty to get you through the night or early day. Now, as I think about my own ham radio setup, and as I kind of mentioned a minute ago, I'm, considering switching to some solar as well. And I've never really operated portable just yet. I've experimented with some small solar devices like a garden and gate lights. But, they're inexpensive, they're effective, and, give me a taste of what solar can do. I have like a 200-watt solar panel on top of my trailer, as I mentioned, and it really keeps my battery charged for powering lights. I was a little worried about it last winter. I had to supplement with a little bit of commercial power on the grid because it just didn't have enough sunlight in where it was at. Now, this winter, it's been in Wisconsin for the most part, and it's been sitting up on top of the hill. It's got great sunlight all the time, and the snow that they've had, it's gone away pretty quick. So the battery and everything stays charged during the whole time, and I've got good power within the trailer. So it's not maybe to the full, like 14.4 volts, whatever it typically would go up to, but I'm certainly still seeing like 12.5 out of it when I turned my power on yesterday to it. And even though it's really cold out, but it was still charging, it's still doing what it's supposed to be. So, transitioning my ham shack to some solar might be a little bit more of a bigger step, but it's definitely going to be something I'm worth exploring. And again, I've got a 50-watt solar panel I'm going to try and connect up very soon. But one of the things you might need to think about, and we're going to talk about more here in a minute, is what size battery or batteries do you need to run equipment for 24 hours, and how large a solar panel is required to keep the battery charged is crucial. So we're going to definitely talk about some of those things as we go. And you need to properly size, as we talk about battery and solar panel sizes, you need to make sure you properly size your solar system. You need to understand the power consumption of your devices. And I want to talk a little bit about that and how to do that, because I think that's going to be important for things to consider. Again, I'm giving a maybe not a 20,000 mile, but a 10,000 mile overview of solar panels here. You're going to have to go figure out some of this stuff on your own. I've got some tools and stuff that I've kind of used to help me figure some of this out over time. But, I'm going to kind of give some, I don't say generic numbers, but they're going to be really close to what you're going to operate at. So I'm trying to get some real life scenarios here. That's going to be pretty close. It may not be perfect, but it's going to be close. So I think one of the things you need to start off with is identifying all the devices you need to power and what their wattage ratings are. For example, if I'm in my shack here, I've got the Flex radio. It requires a computer and a monitor. So I'm going to need to account for both of them in my power calculations, the computer, the monitor, and the Flex radio itself, how much that's going to be. On the other hand, my Yaesu radio only needs a 12-volt power supply, and I could use a USB-C to monitor of some sort, which is very low power, instead of a larger 110-volt monitor to save power there. So that's possible. I could use something like that. That might be handy to have, and it would be good to be able to consider. In fact, reminds me, I need to grab that this evening before I leave, so I can have an additional monitor while I'm staying in the Twin Cities this week. That was a little side note for myself to think about. Calculating the battery capacity needed. So you need to add up the total power draw in watts. So you can usually find like something for the different Yaesu or ICOM radios. You can go onto the website, go look under go find the specific radio you have. Again, I can't give you details exactly because, each radio is going to be a little different. They're not going to be all the same. They're going to be very similar, but they're not going to be the same. So, Yaesu 991 is not going to be the same as an ICOM 7300. It may be close, and it may be the same, but I can't guarantee that. So add up the total power and draw in watts, and it'll tell you what the draw is going to be for both, producing like 100 watts and standby mode both. Now, you need to multiply this number by the number of hours you expect to operate per day. So is that going to be, 5 hours? Are you going to just go out and do 2 hours? Are you going to try and work for 12 hours? So divide the battery voltage typically by 12 volts for ham radio setups to get the required amp hours. So these goes back into like your Ohm's law and things like that to be able to figure some of this out. So for example, if your station consumes 50 watts and you plan to operate for 24 hours, 50 watts times 24 is 1200 watt hours at 12 volts. So that you have 1200 watt hours then. Again, I'm trying to do math, and divide by 12 volts, you come up with 100 amp hours of battery capacity. So hopefully at 50 watts for 24 hours, you can come up with a 100 amp hour battery, and that's kind of how you get some of your math in there. So, I can try and lay this out more in a potentially on a document too, if you guys wish. You just let me know, and I can throw this out there. You can find a lot of good information out there online too, if you need to figure out how to determine amp hours, but remember Ohm's law. Sizing the solar panels. So going with this again, you need to make sure that your solar panel, a 50 watt solar panel may not be enough for what you're wanting to do. You may need a 200 watt solar panel. And you have to realize that there's also an efficiency of solar panels. And I'd probably get into that in just a minute. I'll have to remember. I don't remember what's the other part of this podcast is, if I'm covering that or not. But if not, I'll try and go back. If I get down closer to the end, I'll try and come back to that. But, if you consider your peak sunlight hours, typically about 4 to 6 hours per day in many locations. Now, during the summer, that's going to change. That's probably more of a wintertime type of schedule for 4 to 6 hours. But if you really get peak sunlight, you can probably, 4 to 6 hours, depending on what part of the country you're in and when and where. But if you need to replace 1,200 watt hours per day, and you get 5 peak hours of sun hours, so that's kind of taking the average of 4 to 6, get 5. You'll need at least a panel producing 1,200 watts divided by 5 equals 240 watts. So that's kind of figuring out, again, you got your 1,200 watt hours from up above in the previous equation, and we're going to assume you get 5 peak sun hours with it. But again, you're only getting about 60% maybe efficiency out of a solar panel. So you have to think about that a little bit too. You may need to run it a little bit longer than that. But again, you may need a panel worth at least 1,200 watt hours divided by 5 hours equals 240 watt hours. To account for any efficiencies, again, that's what I'm kind of talking about a little bit. A 300 watt panel or larger may be ideal for you to be able to effectively charge your batteries back to where they need to on that 100 amp hour battery. Another thing you'll need is a charge controller. And of course, that helps manage power between your solar panels and the battery. And there is a way you want to kind of make sure you hook that up in a particular order. And I'm going to draw a blank on that right off the top of my head. I want to say it's like you want to plug in your solar panel. I think it's plug in your solar charger controller first before you plug into the battery. So I'll have to double confirm that, but I want to say that's what it is. Otherwise, you can blow your solar controller. Maybe it's plugging your battery before you plug in your solar controller. It's one of the two. Go search it. I'm drawing a blank on it. I should remember it. I'm pulling this off the top of my head, and I don't recall right offhand. But I kind of got some. Should have made notes in that a little bit further depth to remember that. And my apologies for that part of it. But just be aware of that you can blow up your solar controller if you're plugging in the charger or the battery first. I don't remember which way it comes. If you know, reach out in the notes and leave me a comment. I'd be glad to have that too. And so you also hear things about solar controllers sometimes being maximum power tracking, point tracking, MPPT, and those controllers are more efficient than the PWM controllers and are recommended for larger setups. Like I have an MPPT controller on my shed, or I'll have one on my shed, but also have one on my trailer. So that's what I'm using there. And I use a Renogy brand, which has been really good for me. I can't complain that they've been good. I've got a Renogy 200 watt solar panel on top as well. And they've been very, I think it's very efficient, works out pretty good. So I need to probably just go up and take a little, like a 409 or something and kind of clean it off and get some of the dust and crap off of it from the winter. But when it gets a little bit warmer, I'll do that then. And then my last thing on this part is we're still talking about solar panels. Got a lot more to go, but a power gate usually allows seamless switching between a grid power, a battery backup, and solar. So something you may want to consider as well. And last I knew was the Epic Power Gate from West Mountain Radio was not available still. It was still on back order. So, but those things are really nice to have, and they work out really well. If you can find another power gate of some sort like that from some other company, Paradigm Radio may have one. You might be able to find it on DX Engineering potentially, but definitely something worth having. And having additional battery or small generator as a backup can also extend operation when that sunlight is efficient, maybe during cloudy days or stormy days of some sort. It's good to have that. So that's kind of a backup to your solar controller or your solar power as well, if you need to continue to have power of some sort. So things you may want to consider there. Now, again, I've done a lot of this kind of listing, but I just want to provide a kind of a summary list of this. Is if you're considering solar for your ham radio station, here's some of the basic things you're going to need. Again, solar panels, are going to capture the sun, convert it into electricity, and something to note as well, the monocrystalline panels are often the most efficient, so just be aware of that. You're going to need that charger controller. I know Buddy Hex Buddy Pole, whatever. They make a charger controller that quite a few people use. You can get like there's kind of a Genie one from like Gigaparts or Amazon. You can find it's pretty decent. And then Bino makes the one. There's several of them out there you can find. It's pretty easy to get to. Battery storage, I highly recommend a LiPo4 battery. So if you can find that, they're lightweight, easy to charge and store, and they have a fairly long life, and they're fairly stable as well. You may need a power inverter if you need to convert DC power to AC for certain equipment of some sort, maybe for like, um, you know, um, a monitor or something like that. You may need to, have that power for 110. And then a power distribution system. It'd be nice to have something like an Anderson Power Pole multi point connect system, kind of distribution per se for power poles to be able to distribute your power efficiently to your radios and other devices along the way. Again, consider that backup power plan and a power gate. So those are things you're going to put in your list, and you're going to try and make sure you have. So moving into some challenges and considerations for solar power, things to look at, things to consider. And again, solar panels rely obviously heavily on sunlight. So again, cloudy days, or nights, evenings, can really, drop that efficiency pretty quickly of that solar panel. And, if you have a good sized battery, that might be able to, mitigate some of the issues of running out of power, by having a 100 amp hour battery versus a 20 amp hour battery per se. Initial cost, I think the solar panel costs have come down pretty significantly from what they used to be. But, I think the investment will pay off in the long run. And definitely if you have some high quality solar power setups, the power film are phenomenal. Solar panels, lightweight, foldable, deployable, lots of different ways to be able to mount and fix them. But they're very, 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 very costly compared to others you can find out there online. Again, I've got the Renogy one on top of my trailer, and it works out very great. So, if you're looking to use these for your home or something like that, there are some, government incentives out there for, people putting them on their house and stuff too, and they can help lower some of your costs depending on what state you're in and where you're at, etc. But someday maybe you want to look at it from a bigger grid perspective as well. Kind of talked about this. You just need to know how much power your station consumes and properly sizing it. That is very crucial. And then, I've kind of mentioned this, but I didn't really say a lot about it was, have you decided whether you need a fixed or, just a portable setup of some sort, for like a field operation, or you're going to just set this up as like a little grid outside your house on the side so you can get, some sunlight coming in to help offset some of the other cost of power. And that's going to be part of mine. I know my power bill is going to be going up. The company emailed us a big document saying, hey, the cost of power is, rising, and we're going to raise rates. So, if I can get more stuff put on the solar panel and get more power coming in that way and over to the battery and off my grid in my shed, how much I'm having to, run things, electronically with the commercial power, I'm happy about that as well. That will save me money in the long run as well. May not be completely effective, but I mean, I should have sun most days on the south side where I'm at, and hopefully have enough coverage to be able to do that. And then something you may want to look at also is regulatory considerations. Some cities or townships or, whatever may have regulations around some type of permanent solar array, whether you're putting it on your little shed out back or, if they see it, on the side of your house or something, they may think it's permanent. And, they may be flying over or checking it out or see it, or somebody calls it, complains it in, they're, trying to play Big Papa. So just be aware of that. You may, have HOA restrictions or something like that along those lines. That can make a difference as well. So when you're setting up a system, just be careful of all that and think about those sort of things. Again, I know many operators have, set up solar for their ham radio setups, and they've been very successful at it. They've transitioned to solar power. They've done fully off-grid systems, allowing them to operate fully remote locations indefinitely. And others have combined solar with wind or hydropower for greater reliability. So, it depends how much, how extensive you want to make your own solar power journey, but certainly worth the thoughts there to consider that. Again, you can find lots of them out there. There's lots of different reviews. I know there's lots of YouTube videos out there that show the different, brands and whatnot. Bino makes a really good one. They're pretty small, portable, easily fold up, etc. And I think they've become much, much more affordable than what they used to be. And they're getting to be more and more popular. But again, the monocrystalline, I said, is one of the most efficient ones. And you want to look at that when you're considering part of your solar panel purchases, is how efficient is it? And, how many watts do you need? I'm going to put a little 50 watt one out there outside. That's more, they got some that are soft, roll up, foldable. And then they have some that are actually made with like aluminum frames, and they're more solid and can handle more, durable, heavy duty weather type stuff. So mine's going to be 50 watts for now. I may look at upgrading that to more, but 50 watts will be better than nothing to provide me a little bit of backup, and hopefully it's fairly efficient. So I'm trying to think if I have anything else to discuss around that. I think I've kind of covered it all. Some things to think about. Like I said, I'll be doing a whole video on this on 2 different panels of the same size, same size battery, same charger controller, and I want to see if they will charge the batteries the same, or is one a little more efficient than the other. So we'll find out. We'll take a look at all this information again when it comes warm, probably in April, or maybe late March or April. Hopefully that we'll be able to get that done on a Saturday or sometime and figure that out. So I want to go into some final thoughts on this. Solar power is an excellent way to ensure your ham radio station stays operational when the grid goes down. That's kind of what I want to be able to do when my battery runs out. It does. I run about 180 watt hours on a constant basis. So if I have a 1800, I think it's an 1800 amp hour battery on my Opus, whatever. It doesn't last long. Maybe I think it's 1024. So I can last about 4 hours on it, maybe 8 hours or 5 hours at best. That's being the best case scenario, I'll get 5 hours out of it. If not, I'm probably down to 3 or 4. Because like I said, I'm running about 180 watt hours constantly. And I don't know, with the solar panel coming in, that might help keep my battery charged a little longer, but it's not going to be, very long before it's dead. So I know my solar panel is sized for that, but it's the cost of buying another one and et cetera. When I've already got one here, I don't really want to go down that road unless I decide to change or upgrade it, and I'm not going to do that for now. But, again, they're great for when the grid goes down and when you're operating remote locations. And as technology advances, I think solar setups are becoming more affordable and efficient, making them a very viable option for everybody to be able to use them. So if you're using solar power for your ham radio station, I'd love to be able to hear more about your setup, what you're doing. Drop me a message, connect to me on social media, share your experience. Send me an email, w0met@thehamradioguy. Put something out on Twitter, whatever the case may be. Just reach out and let me know what you think about solar panels, and if you're using them yourself and what type of setup you have. Maybe share some photos. I'd love to be able to see those as well. So it's very interesting stuff. Well, with that, let's cut into some other stuff, and let's see what's else happening here with the Ham Radio Guy podcast, as we're going about 45 minutes into it now. Well, welcome back to the Ham Radio Guy podcast. I'm excited to have you listening. Before we continue our chat here with some more information, I want to give a quick shout out to the Patreon supporters. Again, I thank you for making this podcast possible, and be sure to follow me over on social media for the latest updates, exclusive content, and a peek behind the scenes information. So I really appreciate that. And again, stay in the loop by joining the conversation over on your favorite podcast platform and following us over on Twitter. Well, there's some upcoming events coming in. The Young Ladies POTA Party, March 7th, 2026. HamSci 2026, Discovering Science Through Amateur Radio, March 14th, March 15th of 2026. And I think the Wisconsin QSO Party is live that weekend as well. And I will be doing a rove of several Wisconsin counties during that time. So please feel free to try and catch me on the air during the March, I think it's 14th and maybe it's the 15th and 16th. It's a Saturday. I'll be doing a row for sure of the Wisconsin QSO party of several counties here. So hopefully that will be something that you'll be interested in as well. I know there's a number of states doing QSO parties that weekend, I think. And if you missed out on Ham Shack TV last week, we were talking about state QSO parties. AE0Z Kyle, many of you may know him. He's on several popular channels. He came on the channel of Ham Shack TV and talked about several different things in regards to QSO parties. It was good information, clarified a few things. So if you missed that episode, go out and visit that. Ham Shack TV. Catch us every Thursday night, 7 p.m. Central, 8 p.m. Eastern. And I am one of the co-hosts on that channel over with Josh A4WX with Ham Shack TV. So if you haven't subscribed to him, also a very great channel to go out and catch us. Well, that's it for this episode of the Ham Radio Guy. Thanks for tuning in and being part of the conversation. Don't forget to share your thoughts, questions, or stories. As always, I'd love to have email from you guys. And it's been a while since I've heard anything, but also I guess it's been a while since I've sent anything out. So again, my apologies for that. Feel free to connect with us on Twitter, and I say Patreon, but we're also on Instagram now. So you can find me over on Instagram, and I share quite a few little single posts there. Still trying to figure out that social media. I'm not a social media guy, so this is always interesting for me to figure some of these things out and how it works, a short versus a reel versus a post. I'm still trying to figure some of that out, but again, I just don't get into social media. It's not my thing, but I try and do it for you guys, and I do try and have a little fun with it along the way. So if you enjoyed the show, leave a review, share it with a fellow ham, and help grow the community. If you're enjoying the podcast, consider supporting us over on Patreon, and your support helps keep the show running and allow us to bring even more great content. And if you're not a supporter of Patreon, then maybe consider using one of the affiliate links and saving some great money for yourself on one of your next purchases on that as well. Until next time, 73, happy hamming, and keep those antennas high. And we will, keep the signal strong. I'll catch you on the next episode of the Ham Radio Guy. Take care.